Welcome to Simply Happy Conversation, a podcast that teaches you how to create a clutter-free, functional and simply happy life. I'm Narelle King, a professional organiser who supports families with practical steps to simplify their lives and create a more organised home. I'm passionate about supporting neurodivergent families and individuals like myself. Every fortnight, I also share guest conversations with experts passionate about the future of our home, health and the planet, which will provide you with actionable takeaways to create a more organised and happy life. Imagine having to deal with the possessions after the death of a partner, relative or friend. Today on Simply Happy Conversations, I'm talking with Denise from Flow Grief Academy. Her journey from the depths of despair to rediscovering joy inspired her to help others to reclaim their lives from grief and also shorten the healing process using her unique flow method. She shares actionable takeaways after a loss of a loved one to move through grief and to declutter their possessions. This conversation is also a video recording that you can watch on YouTube. Let's jump into this Simply Happy guest conversation. Today on Simply Happy Conversations, I'm talking with Denise from Flow Grief Academy. Her journey through grief has inspired her to help others and also using her unique flow method to move through grief as well. Today, she is going to be sharing some actionable takeaways after a loss of a loved one to move through grief, but also to look at decluttering their possessions. Welcome, Denise.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Narelle. Thank you. And great to be here. And wow, what an important discussion on decluttering a loved one's possessions. Yes. So I'm glad to be here and to be able to share with everybody.
Yes, I'm so glad. I'm excited to hear some of your tips that I'm sure I'll be able to use as well in my jobs when I haven't had many, to be honest, to do with grief. But yes, I'm looking forward to it. So maybe start and tell us, if you were a Barbie doll, what would the two accessories that you would come with that gives us a little bit of insight into your interests and things you like to do?
Okay, the two accessories that I would like to come with would, number one, be a nice pair of shoes.
Do they have a heel or no heel?
Very high heels, very sexy shoes. That's the one.
A colour?
And
a particular colour?
A colour would probably, red shoes, because red is a magical colour. Red's my favourite colour, so it would be red shoes. And the other one would probably be a lipstick to go with the red shoes so that it matches and everything's coordinated.
Oh, beautiful. And so does that mean that you enjoy going out and catching up with friends?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and of course looking good as well, because I do believe that if we look good, we feel good, which creates our whole feeling and energy for when we're going out.
Definitely that energy, doesn't it? When you've got when you're feeling confident, isn't it? That confidence.
You got your lips on, yeah, you got your face on, you got your feet on, you're okay.
So if I was to come to you in Queensland, where you're based, and help you with decluttering, what area in your house or your life would you love support with?
Oh, definitely cupboards, clothes cupboards. My kitchen's okay. I'll keep that. I'm a Virgo, so I keep that pretty much. Organised, and everything's got its place and everything has to go back in its place. But when it comes to my clothes, I hate washing. I hate putting clothes away. My clothes always end up sitting in the washing basket, and yet when they're all nicely folded and in the cupboard, I can look back and go, oh, that looks amazing. Just getting them from there into the cupboard. So it's
like that process of washing, getting it into there. Oh, yeah. I love that. That's one of my favourite parts. But yes, that's an easy thing to do for me. But I see it a lot with clients. They really struggle with that, taking the washing and getting it actually away. And do you have a nice big wardrobe? Oh, nice.
I do. Yeah. I have a lovely big walk-in wardrobe that's actually meant for two, but it's all for me, so I have plenty of space. But it's just getting it, just jump up there and be neat and tidy. And when I do put it away, it's all colour coordinated as well. Nice. So I have all my colours together.
But that's good, because that makes it easier, the process of selecting what you want to wear, because you just go to that colour, isn't it? And it makes it less overwhelming.
Yeah, totally. I just know, and I know what goes with what. So, of course, as I said, being a Virgo, I've really stepped into, as I'm getting older, I'm stepping more into that Virgo neatness. This has got to go. This has got to go. That I could never understand it when I was younger. My husband didn't understand it. I just do whatever. No, it has to be a certain way. And when I look at my cupboard and it's all color coordinated, I know what to grab. That goes with that. This goes with that. So it's easy.
That's great. So then tell us about your challenging moments in the aftermath of the loss of your husband, which was really sudden, and the strengths that helped you to cope with that as well.
Yeah, so after my husband died so suddenly, because there was no warning, he died of a blood clot. So it was incredibly sudden. And after I started trying to pick myself up, I went for therapy, I read books, I joined groups, I did everything everybody was telling me to do. And I basically wiped myself out with a bottle, or actually a box of wine one night. And that was my wake-up call. That was my aha moment. It would have been about 6 months after Martin had passed away. And in my previous life, I was a bookkeeper to small business. So I was doing taxes and BASs and all of that. And I just continued doing that after he died. I don't know how the hell I did it, but I did. I just carried on with that, balancing books and doing whatever. And I went and saw a very particularly bad, messy client that morning, a new client. Obviously, you don't just say, hey, my husband's just passed away. But I worked with small business, so a lot of them were working from home. And this one in particular had to move nappies and all sorts of things off the table, and there were snotty kids running around. And I just didn't have the bandwidth for that. And then every time I started doing the bookwork, I'd say, so what was this expense for? I don't know. What was that for? I don't know. And I got home and I just basically cracked. And I thought, I can't do this anymore. So I thought I'd have one glass of wine. Instead, I had a whole box of wine. And with every glass, I cried and I cried more. But that was my aha moment. When I woke up in the morning, I went, I have to do something. And it was in that realization that no matter who I speak to, what I do, I have to heal me. I have to heal. And I had to start going within and releasing what's keeping me stuck. And that's where my journey started, was to heal me and not my grief.
That's interesting, isn't it? And it's such a heartfelt story. Thank you for sharing. And what it was, that sort of that aha moment that makes you change. There's always a moment for someone, isn't it? And that was yours.
Yeah.
So then what advice then would you give to someone who has recently experienced, a profound loss or is struggling to find their way? Maybe the loss has happened a while ago and they're still, floating along, doing the same, like you said, the same job, just thinking you have to be the same. What would you give them advice to do?
Well, first of all, is to stop doing what you're doing. And I know that sounds so easy. Okay, so what do I do? We are taught, and everybody thinks that we have to talk about it. We have to go and see, talk about it, wait for time, go through the 5 stages of grief. And that's the narrative. Everybody says that. The truth is that we have to go within and heal ourselves, because whatever it is that's stopping us from healing is stopping us from living our best life. Because when we lose that loved one, whether it's a husband or child, we die with that person. That part of us, that big chunk of us dies. But what we try and do, and what we are told to do, is to just wait and it'll get better. But what we have to do is draw a line in the sand and start reimagining our new life. Who am I now? What do I want from my life? These are all questions to ask yourself. It was the first thing I woke up in the morning and I thought, I'm 51. I don't even know who I am. Who am I? Who am I now? So it's a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, that sounds, And I'm sure that there's people out there listening who are like, oh, this is maybe the wake-up call for them. That's like, right, okay, Denise has given us some advice that I need to take on board and just stop and have a look. I think that's great advice, Denise, about looking around you and seeing what is it that you really want to change and looking at yourself and who are you. So some great questions, which I'm sure through your work, you share those questions through that process that helps people to navigate what they need and what they want to get out of the grief process and moving on and being able to move on.
Yeah.
So what about misconceptions? Yeah. What misconceptions do people do around grieving and healing? Like, I think you've touched just a little bit on there, but there's, I'm sure there's more.
The biggest one is to wait for time. Yeah. Time heals all. That's the biggest one. If people can just stop for a minute and think, we pass through time. Time's going to come. Time's going to go. And, I was speaking to a lady this morning, a beautiful widow that's lost her husband 17 years ago, and she's still crying. She's become a shopaholic, and that's to numb her pain. So, the misconception is to wait for time. All that does is makes it worse. The next one is to try and navigate the 5 stages of grief. There are no stages in grief. You can't go through, okay, so tick a box. I've gone through that stage. Tick another box, because the grief pain comes in waves. And you can be out shopping, you can be anywhere, and suddenly, whoa, it hits you. Where did that come from? We can't logically think through grief. We have to feel it. It has to come from the heart. Another one is, just keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
Just keep busy. What are you doing today? Look, let's go for lunch. Let's go to the movies. Let's repaint the house. Let's get stuck into craft if that's your thing. What that does is it masks your pain. You're actually not feeling your pain, because there comes a time when you're not busy. Then what?
Yeah, you feel the pain again then, don't you? Yeah.
All over. And it's worse because now you for that period of time, and that could be years. Another one with widows is, I need another man in my life. Or with widowers, I need another woman in my life.
Because that pain's still there.
Yeah, there's a hole, and you want to fill that hole. But we can't fill that hole with somebody else. We have to fill that hole with ourselves first. Then we can go to somebody else. Then we can start looking for a partner when we're whole, but not before. How many more do you want? There's so
maybe
many.
Maybe one more.
Another big one is why don't you just buy yourself a dog or a cat? Because then you can give your love to the animal, to that dog or that cat.
Yeah, I hear that one a fair bit, actually, that I've heard clients say to me, oh, yeah, I just got the dog now, so that's my company and that's filling the gap. Yeah.
But it doesn't fill that gap, because that gap is within us. It's not external. See, everything that I mentioned is external. We have to fill it with ourselves. We have to be the change.
And it's interesting, like we're talking about grief, but this, I'm sure, could relate to, a family member who's actually hasn't died, but maybe has moved away, or maybe, some friends that have moved away, and it's that hole is still there. So, even though they haven't passed away, we can still be using these same strategies that you're talking about, and not look at the misconception, because I hear that, oh, well, shopping's just replaced that. Maybe it's even a marriage breakdown, and it's the other person's, moved out, and I hear the shopping is a big one. It's just replacing that person who's not there rather than the healing.
And, I as you would have gathered by my Barbie question, is I love shoes. Shoes, you can never have a bad shoe day. You never, ever. So when Martin died, if I was feeling down, I wouldn't go and buy clothes, because I'd have to get undressed and dressed, and I couldn't be bothered doing that. But I would go and buy shoes. And then, because of the confusion, and your brain is in a complete mush, I couldn't decide whether I wanted the red one, the green one, the blue one, the black one, or whatever. So I would buy one in each color and never wear them, until one day somebody said to me, I've never seen anybody buy shoes like you do. And I was like, what? Is it that bad?
It's always an outsider, isn't it, that has that fresh perspective.
Yeah. And that's when I realized, oh my goodness, I've got to stop buying shoes. My kids used to call me Imelda Malkos because I had that many pairs of shoes.
And so then tell me about the decluttering of your shoes, or are they still at the same level at the moment?
No, I decluttered my shoes. That was funny, quite funny, because a lot of my clients know my shoe fetish as well, because over the years, because remember, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I've run widows retreats in Thailand and the US and so on. And one good client of mine that we're still in contact with always reminds me, the first thing you did when we went shopping in Thailand is find a shoe store. But over the years, I've actually learned to declutter, and the energy around having to have 20 pairs of shoes and not wear them. I used to look at my shoes and go, oh, I love my shoes, but not wear half of them.
And it's taking up space, valuable space, money.
Yeah. So little bit by little bit, because it was fairly painful to get, because every shoe had a memory. And that's the thing with decluttering, is that everything that you have has a memory attached to it.
Mm.
I pick up a shoe and go, oh, I bought those in Thailand. Oh, I bought those in the US. Oh, I bought those at Macy's. Who cares where they come from? They're not wearing them
no,
at the end of the day.
But that's the memory, isn't it? It's the memory that people are attached to of that place. But they've got a physical item that's taking up space in their life, in their home. Yeah,
that's right. So I'm very proud to say I'm down to maybe 1 or 2 pairs of shoes that I wear regularly. And then I've got a few pairs that I must have culled about 95% of my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have that. And it's amazing how when you release, and it's the same as with grief, when you release, you don't have that, oh, I need to buy shoes, or, oh, I need to share my story or whatever, because you've healed from that.
And so for you, when you released those shoes, it's almost like you've said to the universe, okay, I'm now open. I can receive something else instead, because I have room in my life. I don't have all these shoes. So there's now space for other things. Was there anything in particular that then came into your life because of that?
I'll tell you what did come in was a lot of freedom and a lot of clarity of my steps forward. And I related that to having the shoes there that weren't walking or going anywhere.
That's interesting, yeah.
I sort of sat there one day and I went, gee, I've got all this stuff happening and I'm so busy and I've, got stuff. And then I went, I've decluttered my shoes that weren't going anywhere. Now I've got 1 or 2 pairs that I wear all the time, and they're always busy going somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. And so obviously your work has also increased in this area, and just coming into an area that you're obviously really passionate about. So how then can people declutter their possessions around a loved one that they have also passed on? Yep,
that's the hardest, because there's a whole life in those possessions. There's a whole life. I have so many say, when is the right time? How long? And there is no time, there is no length. It's when you're ready. And how do you know when you're ready? Is when you actually go, okay, it's time now for me to start being able to even handle those clothes, handle those possessions. It's as basic as that. Look at those possessions without crying. And it really doesn't matter how long it takes. What I did with Martin's stuff is because it was all hanging in the cupboard. So you imagine you have a husband one day and you don't the next day, but you've got all these clothes hanging in the cupboard still. So the first thing I did was I moved them into a spare bedroom, hung them up in the spare bedroom. That was the first move. So I didn't have to see them hanging there. I just wanted them out of my sight. I didn't want to be reminded every day that he wasn't coming home to wear those clothes. Moved them over to the spare bedroom, and then from there I put them into plastic containers. Still didn't get rid of anything. This was like 6 months later. So then, okay, I need to now just start packing them away. But to actually put them into the plastic containers, it was like, okay, with everything you touch, there's a memory. Oh, he wore that here. Oh, he wore that there. And it's so cathartic to actually let go and cry. Cry. Be a blubbering mess. It's okay. Don't try and hold back. That's part of the feeling. That's part of my flow method, is feel whatever emotions are coming up for you, because there will be mixed emotions. There'll be funny emotions. There'll be sad emotions. There'll be angry emotions. But have and allow yourself to have those emotions while you're doing that.
And for some people, I'm sure it's nice to have someone else there even to share that. Other people, it might be on their own.
Entirely up to you. Entirely up to you. My final declutter, I had my daughter and my son with me, my kids with me. I've got 3 kids. And I said, right, we're going to go through. You take what you want of Dad's. And we had so much fun that afternoon because we laughed, we cried, we got angry together. We remember when Dad did this, and I remember Dad wearing, so see it from a living perspective, not a death's final perspective, and pass it on to whoever you want to pass it on to. I don't know if you remember when, I think it was Samoa or one of those countries had massive earthquakes and floods. Yep. They were looking for men's clothing. And a friend of mine said to me, I've got a whole lot of Maori friends from New Zealand that are collecting and putting together a container of men's clothing. Do you have any? And I said, yep, I've got Martin's clothes. So for me, that was cathartic for me because I knew they were going to a good cause. But for somebody, it could be something totally different. It's really your memories, their memories. But remember, too, the biggest takeaway is that thing, that item, is not who they are.
Yeah, it's a memory, isn't it? And I find when I work with clients, when they can share those memories of things, of that person and that item, once they've shared it, some of them will go, okay, and now it can go. So it's that process of sharing the story is all they needed to do. And then they're like, I don't need that item anymore. And looking at the ones that actually have really strong meaning that they'd like to display or have in the home for that constant memory. But the rest, once they've shared it, they're happy to say, okay, someone else, like you were saying with the clothes, and also looking at, especially if there's, a particular place that might benefit from the items as well, seems to be a really big driver for people to then let go of those items.
So what my daughter did, that's brought up another thing, what my daughter did with his favourite shirts, she made cushions out of them, scatter cushions.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Out of his shirts. And she still got them. She asked me if I wanted one. I said no, because he wasn't a scatter cushion shirt in my memory, So,
yeah.
But for her, she's still got Dad's shirts as scatter cushions. And that's important to honour too, is everybody grieves differently. Everybody declutters differently.
Mm.
And part of the grieving process is decluttering. It's decluttering the memories. It's decluttering the life that you had together and releasing and letting it go.
Yeah. But keeping those memories somehow for yourself, but you don't need all of the items, do you?
We always keep the memories. Yeah. I love listening to people that have a fire in their house and they go, I lost all my photos. What's the first thing you would grab are your photos? And I go, why? Because the photo isn't just a photo. Yes, you can think back to that moment in time, but your memories are here. They're in your head. They're in your heart. They're in your body. They're in your being. You don't need a photo to remind you of that person.
Yeah.
I don't have any photos up anywhere of Martin. My daughter, on the other hand, has got a massive big picture that she's blown up of her dad. And every time I go and visit her, I go, oh, okay.
Yeah. And it is, isn't it? That really demonstrates how each of us are individual and need different things to treasure. Or maybe it's nothing. Maybe it is just the physical, the memory that you have. It's nothing actual physical that you need to have for that person. Yeah. I know for myself, my grandma, I have a tea set, and so I always get it out on Mother's Day and my birthday and any other special occasion, and even the kids will go and get it out because I want to be able to use it and see it. I don't want it packed away where we're never going to see it. And it's really lovely because I'm able to share memories of her when I was a kid and when I was even, a young adult. And one of my children was alive when she was, and it's able to share sort of that when you were a baby, she was here, and this is some of the things that she used to do with you. And yeah, it's a great thing to trigger the memories, I find, with that one physical thing. But I didn't need anything else. That one thing for me is all I need to help remember her.
And it's funny you say that. I've still got a plastic tub I found the other day of knitted and crocheted clothes that my mother made for me when I was very much younger, because my mother has passed away. But it's something that I can't let go of that tub because it's handmade with love from my mother.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking, I really should declutter, but my mother's been dead since 1990, so for a long time. But it's still that oh, my mum made this for me. And then we'll take it out and I'll say, look, Granny made this. Look how clever Granny was. So it's still sharing and keeping that part of her alive.
Yeah, definitely. Her skill, obviously, as well. Like, because you don't see that all the time now, do you?
No, you don't. No.
And even like, I don't know. I love that working with clients is trying to find ways to actually display the item or use the item so that they can continually talk about it rather than it hidden away in a box, in a garage or the top of a cupboard where no one's getting to see it. And and it's not that sharing of the memories.
Absolutely. You know, I look around in my lounge and I've got, my mother loved David, the statue of David. And I've got her statue of David standing there. And then coming from South Africa originally, I've got a wire motorbike that was made by the Africans. That was a gift to Martin, my husband, and they both stand next to each other. And they both passed away now. But it's like David's there and that's there. And when people ask or whatever, they go, oh no, that was Martin's, that was my mother. It's just that memory. They're there, their presence is still there, but it's not a sadness. I don't look at it with sadness.
And it's that trigger for you to share those memories with people who come in and see them, which is lovely.
Yeah. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is to keep the memories alive, but to keep them alive from within.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if people wanted to get in contact with you, where can they find you? Where's the best place for them to go to?
The best place is to go to my website, which is flowgriefacademy.com. I've got the links to everything that I do on there. I have a Facebook group as well. I have obviously my podcast, Grief Unlocked. I also have an inner circle, which is a monthly membership for people that want to heal themselves. I've got my program. I've got so much, but it's all on my website. So the website is really the best place. There's also a link on there if you want to talk to me, so you can book a call on my calendar. So
Oh, Denise, thank you so much, and I will definitely put that in the show notes so people to connect with you. Thank you for your time and for sharing your own story and the steps that we can help us through grief. It mightn't be now, but it might be sometime down the track that people can then come back to this episode and find relevance in it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, Narelle. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's Simply Happy conversation. If you find yourself wasting precious time searching for misplaced items and wishing for a more organised life, then you need my 5-minute declutter ebook, the ultimate guide to quick and easy organising solutions for a clutter-free and happy home. Forget about spending months KonMariing your house. These fun solutions are designed to give you immediate results in under 5 minutes. Head over to Simply Happy in the resource section and download your free copy and start seeing results in minutes. I'd like to acknowledge the Wathaurong people of the Kulin Nation on which this podcast is recorded as the traditional custodians of the land. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.